Welcome to Live Your Greatness with your host, DeCarlo Eskridge.
Welcome to Live Your Greatness. Again, I'm your host, DeCarlo Eskridge. Today we're going to be coming from Wallace D. Wattles' book, The Science of Being Great. And we're going to be talking about the mind of God. This is Chapter 4. There is a cosmic intelligence that is in all things and through all things. This is the real substance. From it all things proceed. It is an intelligent substance or mind stuff. It is God. Where there is no substance, there can be no intelligence. Where there is no substance, there is nothing. Where there is thought, there must be substance which thinks. Thought cannot be a function, for function is motion, and it is inconceivable that mere motion should think. Thought cannot be vibration, for vibration is motion, and that motion should be intelligence is unthinkable. Motion is nothing but the movement of substance. If there be intelligence shown, it must be in the substance and not in the motion. Thought cannot be the result of motion in the brain. If thought is in the brain, it must be the brain's substance and not the motion which the brain substance makes. Now, what are we saying? Thought in itself cannot be merely movement of mind particles and the wave vibrations of the brain. It must be deeper than that. But thought is not in the brain's substance, for the brain's substance without life is quite unintelligent and dead. Thought is the life principle in the brain, in the spirit substance, which is the real man. The brain does not think. The man thinks and expresses his thoughts through the brain. See, the brain in itself does not think, but it's the spirit which embodies the brain, holds life together. It's this thing that thinks within the human mind. There is a spiritual substance that thinks. Just as spirit substance of man permeates his body and thinks and knows the body, so the original substance, God, permeates all nature and thinks and knows in nature. Nature is as intelligent as man and knows more than man. Nature knows all things. The all mind has been in touch with all things from the beginning. That's that God mind in each one of us. And it contains all knowledge. Man's experiences cover a few things. And these things man knows. But God's experience covers all things that have happened since the creation, from a wreck of a planet, the passing of a comet, or the fall of a sparrow. All that is and all that has been are present in the intelligence that wraps about us and engulfs us and presses upon us from every side. So what are we saying? We're saying that there's an intelligence within man that knows all things, and it's not enough for us to rely upon human intelligence or our limited brain power. We have to connect ourselves with the all-knowing. All these encyclopedias men have written are but trivial affairs compared to the vast knowledge held by the mind in which men live, move, and have their being. So we can take all the libraries and all the information that we've ever created throughout history, and they would be a speck on the head of a needle. They could not even encompass the vast knowledge of the all-knowing, all-mind of God. So when man talks about science and his ability to learn and his great wisdom and all the vast knowledge that he's gathered over the centuries, They pale in comparison to the mind of all things. The truth men perceive is by inspiration, and these thoughts are held in the mind of men. If they were not thoughts, men could not perceive them, for they would have no existence, and they could not exist as thought unless there is a mind for them to exist in. And a mind can be nothing else than the substance which thinks. So in order for it to be thought, there has to be a vehicle in which thought takes place. And in men, of course, this is the mind. But in order for man to be inspired, there has to be a knowledge outside of himself that will inspire his mind to give him these ideals and concepts that will make a difference in the world in which he lives. Man is a thinking substance, a portion of the cosmic substance, but man is limited, as we stated earlier, while the cosmic intelligence from which he sprang, which Jesus calls the Father, is unlimited. And Jesus understood this mind of God, this spirit he called the Father, this all-knowing. And Jesus said it this way: apart from the Father, I can do nothing. So if Jesus, being the great man and Son of God, says that apart from the Spirit of God, the mind of God, I can do nothing, how much more important is it for us to understand and to be linked to this great cosmic power? All intelligence, power, and force comes from the Father. Jesus recognized this and said it very plainly over and over again. He ascribed all of his wisdom and power to his unity with the Father. And he said, of course, I and the Father are one. Jesus understood that apart from the Father, he had no power within himself. But his power, what we call dynamite or dunamis, came from the Father. And Jesus understood, as he perceived the thoughts of God, that I and my Father are one. This was the foundation of his knowledge and his power. He showed the people the necessity of becoming spiritually awakened, of hearing the voice and becoming like him. He compared the unthinking man, who is the prey and the sport of circumstances, to the dead man in the tomb, and he besought him to hear and come forth. God is spirit, he said. Be born again. Become spiritually awakened, and you may see the kingdom of God. The man Nicodemus, one of the Pharisees of the time, he says, what must I do to be saved? And Jesus said, be born again. Now, when we're talking about being born again, we're talking about the spiritual awakening, the opening of one's eyes, the realization that you are in fact connected with all things through the Creator of all things. And as we understand our connection with the Creator of all things, new birth begins to take place. He said, hear my voice, see what I am and what I do, and come forth and live. The words I speak are spirit and life. Accept them, and they will cause a well of water to spring up within you, and you will have life within yourself. So Jesus said, learn from me. If you want to understand God, if you want to understand the spiritual aspect of who you are, look at my life example. And I do what I see the Father doing. What did he mean by that? He read the thoughts of God. The Father shows all things to the Son. And if any man will do God's will, he should know the truth. He said, my teachings are not my own. And people even attest, and they said, he doesn't speak like one of the scribes or the Pharisees. He says, my teachings are not my own. but it is his that sent me. You should know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. That spirit within us should guide us into all truth. We are immersed in the mind, and a mind that contains all knowledge and truth. It seeks to give us this knowledge, for our Father delights in giving his children good gifts. The Father delights in giving his children good gifts. How powerful is that? The prophets and seers and great men and women of the past and present were made great by what they received from God, not what they were taught by men. And we can look at countless stories throughout history. They transcended the knowledge of men, so much so that they were counted as heretics, and some of them were either burnt at the stakes, pinned up on cross. But these were men and women that saw outside the box of the human race, and they saw the mind of God. This limited reservoir of wisdom and power is open to you. You can draw from it as you will, according to your needs. You can make yourself what you desire to be. You can do what you wish to do. You can have what you want. To accomplish this, you must learn to become one with the Father, so that you may perceive truth, so that you may have wisdom and know the right end to seek and the right means to use to attain those ends, and so that you may secure power and ability to use the means. In closing this chapter, what we're going to talk about is to resolve. You will lay aside all else and concentrate upon the attainment of unity with God. Let me read a poem to you. Oh, when I am safe in my silver home, I tread upon the pride of Greece and Rome. When I am stretched beneath the pine, where the evening stars so wholly shine, I laugh at the lore and pride of men, at the sophisticated school and learned clan. For what are they in their high conceit, when man in the bush with God may meet? Creators, what my desire is for you is that you understand your unity and oneness with God, and throughout the day, no matter what it is that you're doing, realize that God's presence is there, and feel that loving presence of God all around you. And no matter what you're going through, ask the divine mind of the universe to open up your eyes that you may see his greatness. Again, this is Live Your Greatness. I'm your host, DeCarlo Eskridge. And for more information, please go to DeCarloEskridge.com. Have an awesome week.